Calgary's biggest light festival. 10 years ago, this wasn't achievable.
Really important driving forces behind creating NightLight is that we want to create an engine and an incubator and a playground to grow the talent for emerging artists and anyone that's interested in doing this. It's a place where you can come and experiment and learn and test and grow.
There's always a bigger capacity for more festivals, more culture, more art here on the streets for Calgarians.
Just as important to do good PR as to do good art. Yeah. If you only do good art, you cannot make a living out of it.
What is a light art festival? Many people ask, and it's light and it's art. Well, it's a little more, it is that simple, but it also isn't. So think about anything that you stop and go, wow, how did they do that? Or looking at a building surface that's been what we call painted differently using light. And we use special projectors and special lighting sources to make something ordinary look different. And of course, there is fun. In a big event like this, you always have to try and build in as many contingencies and backup plans and redundancies and backup plans as possible. But you can't plan for everything. And you also can't plan for human error, and you can't plan for miscommunication. Unfortunately, yesterday we had all of those, and now I have a pretty big problem to solve. You know, don't give up, stay in the fight, and stay focused on what the mission is.
We're going into night 3 tomorrow, and we're hoping the weather holds. And I'm the guy they asked to say that. So what's gonna happen is it's gonna rain, and then they're gonna put this in the documentary, and then it'll be like, I hope it's nice. And that's how you'll forever remember me in this documentary. So that's really great. Thanks, everyone.
So the way I like to describe an event of this size and magnitude is that you are fighting a war, and every day is a different battle.
David Lowe has been instrumental in shaping arts and culture here in Calgary for many, many years, and he's often been in the role of supporting other festivals and being really great. And this time around, it was really about supporting David's vision on what NightLight could be for his own BIA. And it was really about shining a light on his work historically, and then the work of the community that usually comes together to make Victoria Park really excellent. What I'm really hoping that NightLight does for Calgarians is that it spurs their imagination, and maybe someone out there can think of another festival to create for Calgarians, and then they realize that they can do it too. And they get started, and they have the confidence or the inspiration to move ahead with it. Because I think the more of these that we have in Calgary, the better.
So my aspirations for starting NightLight probably started actually on that wall about 8 years ago when I was experimenting with battery-powered LED colored lights, and I was just out what we call painting, and I would driving around by myself in a truck, and I'd just go, that looks interesting, and I'd just go up and set up the lights. People would come up and they'd be, what are you doing? And in that process, I realized what a powerful gesture that was. And so over the years, I got smarter and smarter about the technology and the equipment and how it works, to the point where we had the capacity to do some really significant things, and then acquiring some very fancy lighting equipment and projectors, and then a coalescence of producing partners that were like, yeah, we can do our own thing here, do it the way we think it should be done. And that was kind of the genesis for NightLight.
I'm Hanan Shabib, and I'm Social Studies Lab, and I'm one of the partners for NightLight, working really closely with Victoria Park BIA on this new light festival called NightLight. Previous to NightLight, a lot of the work that I've done in the past have been about creating live experiences for humans in general. So I'm an award-winning producer, program builder, project creator, and what I love to do is actually put things on the streets here in Calgary for Calgarians. My background is all about like putting strange things like giant fire-breathing mechanical octopuses in the middle of the downtown core. So my background is really about figuring out some new possibilities for this city. So I've been the director of creative experiences with Beakerhead. I've been an event producer for some of the blue chip companies here in Calgary. I've also done things like innovation work for arts organizations. I'm doing a little bit of exhibit coordination with some of the new museums coming into Calgary as well.
So one of the other really important driving forces behind creating NightLight is that we want to create an engine and an incubator and a playground to grow the talent for emerging artists and anyone that's interested in doing this. I get asked all the time, why don't we have more things like this in Calgary? And the answer is quite simple. It's because we don't have the depth of cultural assets and resources that other cities do. And the only way to get that is to provide the opportunity space for them. And so if we don't do it, then nobody will.
David Lowe has been instrumental in shaping arts and culture here in Calgary for many, many years. And he's often been in the role of supporting other festivals and being really great. And this time around, it was really about like supporting David's vision on what NightLight could be for his own BIA. And it was really about shining a light on his work historically, and then the work of the community that usually comes together to make Victoria Park really excellent. And so I'm really happy to be a part of this project because of that reason.
We have just a very, very small number of people that are doing this. And so that was one of the foundational principles that the partners and myself decided on when we were launching NightLight, when we said, yeah, we're going to do this, because we need to create that energy, the momentum, and that play space, as we call it, for artists to come and experiment and to not be at this museum quality polished level to come and participate. So I don't like the phrase, it's a safe place to fail, but it's a place where you can come and experiment and learn and test and grow and get better.
What I'm really hoping that NightLight does for Calgarians is that it spurs their imagination, and then they realize that they can do it too. And they get started, and they have the confidence or the inspiration to like move ahead with it. Because I think the more of these that we have in Calgary, the better.
I've been very fortunate to be exposed early on to traditional forms of art and also more forms of mechanical engineering. I have a very talented family that probably makes way cooler art than I do, but that's for another story. So I was very fortunate from my brothers, mother, father, and family to be exposed to lots of types of art. But I don't think it was until I experienced music as an art form first that drove me to do more, experience more. I was exposed to house music and the counterculture that is now called electronic dance music, but for us has always been dance. And through that was exposed to culture that I still to this day stay in touch with and consider the roots of my artistic expression. One of the things that a lot of these shows lacked was visual art. So I started designing light shows, stage shows, scenic elements, things that would enhance the overall immersive environment. And to this day, I credit all of that with igniting the immersive environments we build in the drive-in and scare wash and other experiences. I don't think commercializing your art should be difficult. I don't think making a living from your art form should be difficult. The reason I'm here in Calgary, I came to make a thing with friends, and we built a business called PK Sound. My travels with PK took me to some major festivals, working with really, really talented, very creative visual artists. And what I was seeing them do with LED video and video projection, I brought back. They inspired me. So I found accessible pieces of software and started to play with projection mapping myself. I was so involved in the music business that I was ready to not be involved in the music business anymore. I wanted to stem away, but I was always a VJ. I've been working in video since analog was cool, and I have all my analog set up still. And I kind of came back to that and started doing video mapping because now software had become so common and so easy, or let's call it accessible, that I could video map, projection map very easily. So I started to fall in love with what I would consider as the light art of these music festivals. I was a technical director and still am with Le Cirque de la Nuit. Our stage shows were more lively than just DJ. So we were moving from here's the DJ, here's the light video, to here's the stage, here's a bunch of circus, and the DJ was actually off to the side of our performances. And a lot of the early people who have formed the circus, when I came on a few years after it had formed, I was able to help steer it again towards something that was more interactive and more immersive.
Hey, welcome to Big Art, where the magic happens.
Right
on in.
So the concept behind Big Art is we consider ourselves an artist collective, but before that, we're a collaboratory. So our studio, which is a shop, it's not a studio, don't let it fool you, people call it that, but it's dirty. We weld and we cut wood and we do lots of fun, loud things. We're a house for shared knowledge. So when we pick a project, we pick the right people who want to be a part of that project to solve creative and technical problems. That is our whole ethos, and it's what drives us to success. The beautiful part of that is I get to work with really amazing collaborators in Calgary, like David Lowe from Victoria Park BIA, Hanan, and I have been producing for a long time, Jasmine Pilardi. These are early Beakerhead producers where we get to think up of something that has never been done before, and the first question is, can we do it? And then after the can we do it, we figure out the people who can do it, and then we bring those people together. So what I love about what David brings to the table for us is he not only brings a wealth of knowledge in production, entertainment, and technology, but his connections here inside the city, inside his neighborhood, give us a playground and a platform. And what's important about NightLight is this is the platform. Without these platforms, we will not have visual artists who are in this medium or in mixed media for this specific scale. So what's really important for Chinook Blast, Glow, NightLight, other festivals like Beakerhead is we need to continue to provide the platform for this art. So for David, he has been the single biggest supporter of this scale of this type of art in Calgary, hands down. So we love collaborating with him however he'll let us.
I owe a huge debt to the OG Beakerhead crew, because they actually started me down the path of professionally playing with lights. And the short story is they gave me a giant rocket ship, literally, to play with. And because it was going to be viewed at night, we had to light it up somehow. And so I became the de facto lighting designer for that project. And that gave me the confidence to just really start playing and exploring. And then over the years, I just kept on learning and doing more and driving around in a truck with just lights, doing stuff on the sides of buildings. And eventually that got us to the point where it was like, it's time for David to do his own thing and create my own festival, which is NightLight.
Yeah, so David and I have been collaborating for years. It's been like more than a decade now of collaboration. So we both bring similar strengths to the table, but at the same time we have like strengths in very different parts of what is needed for a festival. Because I have built a festival from the ground up in the past, what I bring to the table is like, you know, some of the processes and some of like the really non-glamorous parts of what it is required to build out a brand new festival. And then at the same time, it's like, well, then how do you delight audiences or attendees who are like coming to the streets and like walking through that process? So we collaborate on a lot of things. So like, how do we get the artists engaged? How we then make choices around which artists do we feature this time around? How do we support them? So our collaboration is really quite close and tight. But at the same time, if I need to take on a portion and run with it, he feels confident I can do that, and vice versa.
So the way I like to describe an event of this size and magnitude is that you are fighting a war, and every day is a different battle. So anytime when you're doing an event, there's always things and stuff that are in the way. And the situation here is we need to get a very large, what's called a 5-ton or a 5K telehandler in through this driveway into the park so that we can lift up a 44-foot geodesic dome. This is our only way in. And we've got these big things in the way here. Now, in theory, the way these things should work is a pin should just come out and that should just lift off. Now, that, in this case, hasn't happened. So what was the first thing I did? Well, let's hit it with a little WD-40. That didn't work. Okay, let's maybe then let it soak for a little bit, and then figured, well, we'll just take a big, huge wrench, get it on here, and reef on it. That did not work. And then earlier today, I took out a blowtorch, took it to the bottom, heated the snot out of it, then took a giant sledgehammer to it and some chisels, and that didn't still work. So those are still in there, like not going anywhere. So we're on to plan, I think on this one, C or D. And plan C or D is gonna be, we're probably gonna have to figure out a way to cut these off right about here. Top part will come off. And then the way they sit, there's a little cap that's embedded in the cement and the pin goes in, and then we'll tidy that up. The other challenge of doing stuff like this is we've got to keep the building happy. Like, it's their stuff and we're in their way. So we're gonna try and take it apart and put it back together as best we can. And if we can't, then, I don't know, drive through the tennis court.
Oh, our friend, the Bullard. We had two problems that we've had is getting access to a certain site, and we actually had to cut these off on site, bring them back to the shop, and now we've got to re-drill them so that we can put them back in place. And that is just one of those unforeseen things that any show encounters. So that was That was a fun job.
The life of a show like this, it's kind of like an iceberg. You only actually get to see the very, very tip of it. The back end is going over every single connection, cable, detail. Where's this coming from? Who's supplying it? Where it gets plugged into? Who's doing it? Where do you get the power from? Do we have the permits for the power? What's the schedule? Where's the truck coming from? And so what we're doing today is our second really deep, what we call detail production schedule scrub. And I mean, it literally line by line by line, and it's monotonous, but that it's the God is in the details in a show like this. So we don't want to be showing up and going, oh, we forgot about this connection or that thing, or overlooking, oh, we forgot that this artist needed audio and that sort of thing. So on a show like this, when we're dealing with over 20 artists and 25-ish sort of installation sites, the production details really, really matter. And so fortunately, I've got a really great team here with Big Art and our production manager to go over all that stuff. And then we sort of act like squirrels and what about, and then we get it all ironed out, and eventually you see a nice little spreadsheet, and then we can look at that and start packing the trucks pretty soon here. It's there's actually a joke that I shared with the production manager for Slide Island, and he said, you know, people think that I'm all about doing music and things like that, and really, he said, most of my time is spent in spreadsheets, and that's true. We have just so many details that we have to go through with all of our sites, and then listing all of the requirements for each site. And I mean, this goes on forever and ever and ever. Central Memorial Park is near and dear to my heart. I have literally hundreds of event hours in here, and have installed projectors in here multiple times. Today we had a little bit of a snag in that the machine that we were using, we came up about this much short in terms of the amount of boom that we had to get the projector on top of the tower. Fortunately, we've got really good crew. So telehandler operator, okay, where's plywood on site? Where's plywood on site? Okay, we've got plywood over there. I've got a half-ton truck. Bomb over, get plywood in the truck, get guys over there in the truck, bring it back. We make a plywood highway because we got to keep the park safe and pristine and not have 30,000 pounds of weight squishing into a nice grass. Get the guys out, pristine, what we call the plywood highway, get him in, and fortunately he's a very experienced tele operator and got the projector rigged and landed safely on the tower. But again, that's 45 minutes out of a day that we're not going to get back, but at least we got it done safely and it's in.
Get everybody to clap for the video.
So in a big event like this, you always have to try and build in as many contingencies and backup plans and redundancies and backup plans as possible. And that is something that myself and my team have worked through. But you can't plan for everything, and you also can't plan for human error, and you can't plan for miscommunication. Unfortunately, yesterday we had all of those. We are sitting now probably about 6 hours behind where we should be on our builds, and again, you have to just roll with it. You don't throw anyone under the bus. You just work on solving the problems. A lot of people ask how much work it is to do a festival like this, and when I started planning this, the whole idea is that I was going to be off the tools and just managing things and everything. Yesterday was a 14-hour day. The day before that was a 14-hour day. The day before that was a 12-hour day, and I'm probably looking at a 16-hour day today. At this point in time, like, my daughter left me, I had tears in my eyes because my daughter hasn't seen me for 4 days because this is what I'm doing. And I got to admit, I was sitting in the truck this morning going, why am I doing this? Like, it's just so much work, and I hurt, and it's hard. And I know, or I am hopeful that once I see everything up and running tonight and my phone stops blowing up and the radio stops going and I can just sit back and relax, that'll probably be the aha moment. But right now I'm in that, God, this has been hard. So yeah, it's a lot of work, but if you don't do it, it won't happen. It's just at this stage, staying really focused, staying really calm. All the experienced crew, when we get into this stage, it's like we start speaking slower and slower, and I get very deliberate about that, check and confirm, because when you got people panicked and, oh, where's this, and I need this, and the phone's going off and the radios are going off. No, you just focus one thing at a time, your 3-foot world, solve the problem, on to the next, and hope for showtime. You ready? Hey everyone! Huge thank you to my two co-conspirators here that helped me get this going. Paul Magnuson and Hanan Chiab, who's off covering my back. NightLight isn't just about doing a thing, which is what I'm notorious for. I just want to do a thing, and it's about building a movement and momentum and creating this engine that is going to fuel our artistic capacities and skills as a city. And I really hope that this is one of my daughter's favorite songs. It's Rachel Platten, and it's One Match and I Can Make an Explosion. And I'm really thrilled that all of us are here for this hopeful explosion, not literally, but just want to express my deepest gratitude and everything for everyone that's here tonight. And sorry, I'm not more eloquent. I'm on hour, whatever, but just thank you so much. And as they say in Japanese, otsukare sama desu ka.
Hi, my name is Brandon Tyson, and I am one of the lead artists with Big Art Incorporated here in Calgary, Alberta.
MAP is an abbreviation of mapping at private properties.
My name is Contemporary Vice, and I am a multidisciplinary artist, although I specialize in mixed media visual art.
My name is Matthew Riddell.
And I am Laura Sola, and we are ASMA, Access Ed Media Arts.
My name is Shannon Hoover. I'm one of the founders of Fuse 33 Makerspace, as well as Enlighten, which is the kind of tech that has gone into making this not very glowy as of yet butterfly behind me.
My name is Kyle Jensen. I'm half of True North Absurdities, who built the crazy project behind us.
So my name is Ian Rice, and I would consider myself a maker because I'm not really sticking to any one kind of realm.
Hello, I'm Jose Macasina, and I'm doing a lot of projection mappings for NightLight.
My name is Dan. I go by Throw Shapes, and I've been VJing and doing visuals now for almost over 10 years.
Yeah, we heard about the light festival they were going to organize here, and we asked Paul, hey, maybe it's a good thing you know our work and we know your work, and compared to big art, we're more like small art.
Human scale art.
Human scale. So that's a really good combination. It's totally different, but a light festival is made by totally different kinds of interpretation of light art.
All right, so with this event, what it's really doing is having an opportunity to showcase a lot of the Calgary talent that we have for phenomenal makers and creators.
So my first night at NightLight was awesome. I started a piece of art from blank canvas and finished it, and I titled the piece One of a Kind.
We've been working as digital artists for almost 20 years each, but we've been collaborating together since 2015.
And for this work, we've been working with animators from Calgary and from Bogota. So it's like an international and local project. And what we like about this is that we offer the opportunity to other people that doesn't necessarily know how to do mapping or have the technical knowledge to do it.
I think a big part of it is just the crew that's putting it on really has a love and a passion for the art itself, and that's why they're doing it.
NightLight is a fabulous platform for artists to exhibit their work and show it off and bring color to the city. One of my friends, who you will see more of later, it's his very first time ever exhibiting work publicly in his whole life. So it's an amazing platform for artists who haven't shown their work to get it out there and share it with the world.
Where people could come together and make things and inspire other people. And you can't participate in those types of events without being inspired yourselves. And we see every day the kind of like, you bring people from diverse backgrounds together and put them in a space where they'll learn from each other. Out of those kind of serendipitous collisions of ideas come really cool innovation, both on the art side as well as the business side.
Actually, I've been doing this for almost like a year when I got introduced to the medium. I was really on this space of experimenting with a lot of different types of artworks. For NightLight, we'll have an adaptation of Flutter, which is what we're seeing right now. And then for like that period, we'll have it in, what's it called, in Halton Park. And it's going to be also in the Halton School, like right next to the big dome that Big is doing. So a lot of it is actually about growth and how it can be like really temporary. And it's really every time, like whatever efforts you can get for growth or planning in any aspect that it has, it's kind of just like putting efforts into that.
But they're not as linked and connected to the artist to really know what do they need to be able to help mesh bringing the spaces and the artists together in a way that's very synergistic, because the crew is really well connected with not just the city, the planners, as well as all the artists. So it really helps to bring it together in a really cohesive, easy to execute opportunity, kind of like what we're seeing coming together here.
Doing artwork in public, it's different than working in private spaces like galleries or doing things for digital media like online or something, because you're engaging with everybody, and there's people wandering around outside, people going through the park, people walking down the street, and so you really get to encounter all sorts of different people. And some people have never experienced this sort of thing before, so we often get a mix of like people that are very surprised that this is happening, and lots of really positive feedback.
And through that kind of community of creating stuff, we met a lot of the people through like Beakerhead and Glow Festival and a bunch of other ones, Chinook Blast in the city. And now NightLight is kind of bringing together a bunch of those creative makers.
Yeah, this is a fun project to get involved with like mapping different structures around the city. The dome installations that's gone in, that was fun today. I spent my time doing that. And then over here today, we're video mapping parts of these buildings here. It was a last minute change on where this location was going to be, and it's always like, I guess, compromises of what you thought the initial plan was going to be and what you end up going with. But the good thing with projection mapping is you can be flexible. Any surface is a video surface, so you can map it to however you want it to be.
We're going into night 3 tomorrow, and we're hoping the weather holds. And I'm the guy they asked to say that. So what's gonna happen is it's gonna rain, and then they're gonna put this in the documentary, and then it'll be like, I hope it's nice. And that's how you'll forever remember me in this documentary. So that's really great. Thanks, everyone.
So the way I like to describe an event of this size and magnitude is that you are fighting a war, and every day is a different battle. And every day is going to bring some victories, and it's also going to bring some setbacks. But you've got to keep your eye on the larger prize. Day 3, picking up where we left off, and of course, there's risks and rewards to doing things outside, and this is one of the risks. We're raining. The good news is that everyone dug really deep, and pretty much everything is running. So in an event producer's life, these are the hardest conversations to have when the weather's going bad. You gotta remember site safety and crew safety and public safety are number one. So that's on my shoulders. I have to make those decisions as to what is safe to do and what is not safe to do. And so after getting to bed at 2, I'm up at 9:30. We're looking at the weather radar. We're looking at the forecasts. We're figuring out what we need to do today and what we can do safely. And that was a pretty serious heart-to-heart conversation with my producing partners because we're always, the show must go on. We got to go. But I also need to rein people back in and go, you know what, it's just not going to be safe and or not a comfortable experience for patrons. There's no point in putting performers out there if nobody's going to watch. Now, some of the artists just want to do it. We don't care. We'll go. And so that was this morning's fun conversation, and we managed to put together a solid, safe plan and reconfigure everything. And I'm super proud of the team for making all the right decisions. And we're here and we're going to do it safe and enjoyable.
This shows that we're willing and ready to produce in any weather. So rain, sun, shine, snow. What's awesome about Calgarians, Calgary-based artists and artists of this art form, especially in public domain, is we have to build it safe and we have to build it ready for this beautiful, overcast, drizzle, cold. Love you, mountain weather. We did it. Nice. We're still running.
It's been a lot of work. This is Saturday, and I'm out of the steel toes finally. The knee brace is on, and can't say enough about my crew and the Paul Magnuson over there, who's been a rock star, and just everyone for doing this. And I just really hope that Calgary appreciates the gestures that we're doing here.
Well, I mean, the performers themselves are all still ready to present in this weather, which is amazing. So that's our fire performers, our circus performers, meaning Agogo and Le Cirque de la Nuit. But we know that just because they're willing to do it, it isn't the safest bet. What's so awesome about these performers is they're flexible, so are we. We have a giant dome that's in front of me here. So it's pretty easy for us to move them inside the dome and just make the show happen. So we're fortunate enough to, again, work with amazing performers who've been in very cold spaces, who aren't afraid to pivot on a dime. So this morning, the call was very simple. That was quick, and everyone had the same feeling. We can't put performers on slippery stages, and we can't put fire in rain. But what we can do is move the fire to LED, and we can move the circus inside the dome. So here we are on day 3 of the show and like day 700 of the planning of this thing, or so, I don't know what it is, like 2005. Yeah, something. It's long. Next question. I don't know what the numbers are like, but I'm sure David will tell you on camera. I feel like we have to be 50% emerging artists of exhibiting artists here. So what I know is that 3 of the mapping teams here are definitely emerging artists and carry more than 1 artist on the team, meaning they're a collective, and that's important. And I even know the light artists that are here
maybe 50% of them are full-time artists. So that means that we've achieved step one, is to include those emerging artists onto this platform, hopefully pair them with producing staff like Frank Gallant, Hanan Chabib, David himself, myself, to give them the experience that they need to move to the next level or find another light art festival or build their own.
There's always a bigger capacity for more festivals, more culture, more art here on the streets for Calgarians. And NightLight just brings a really new approach to festivals where it's really about extending our time as a public, experiencing art in a new way, like a very accessible way. So it doesn't matter like how old you are or who you are, you can come to a place like NightLight. We also want to encourage like new artists, like recognizing that like giving a space for people who have maybe an idea, but they're not like traditionally an artist or come from that background. They could still build something, you know, and show it off and invite the public to be a part of it.
What do I want? I want it to be bigger next year. I want it to be everything David envisioned, more projection mapping, more international artists, more local artists.
We want to sort of encourage that growth so that Calgary is seen as a place where really great things can happen or get seeded here, and then the rest of the world can kind of see us for who we really are.
Those little events that bring together international artists, emerging artists, professional artists, even local, at a table over really crappy sliders and cheap beer are where dreams are made and broken sometimes. But regardless, this is the place where we collect and gather and share ideas and with each other. And if we don't have these platforms that bring those artists together, we don't really have a place to connect and communicate and make the next. And I will tell you, I've even had 3 conversations here that will result in new projects. I'm manifesting that in the camera right now, but 3 really great conversations with 3 different other collectives that should manifest into projects in the next 1 to 2 years. So if we don't do this, we won't get it. We won't get more. So I hope that everyone enjoyed this year and comes back bigger next year, because what happened at NightLight is a light festival 10 times the size of its budget, produced by some of the best people I know in this city. And I'm very, very proud to be alongside them in my steel toe rubber boots and umbrella and like 7 layers of clothes. I mean, at least we produce a little bit of heat with the light, I guess. And the dome's warm, so, you know, we have that. Yeah. What else?
I'm Paul from...
Oh, I'm Paul from Big Art, and we're done.
I think being able to do things that, you know, simply put a smile on someone's face or inspire them or have them pause for just a moment and reflect it's an incredible privilege to be able to do that. And I was out one night, long time ago, just doing the simple thing with some simple lights, and I had someone come out in their pajamas and go, "What are you doing? This is so cool. Thank you for doing this." And I was like, okay, that's really cute. But I was always, I always had some doubts about the real value of doing what I do. And one of the last conversations I had with my father before he passed, and unfortunately he didn't get to see NightLight, and it was kind of we were reconciling, and I was feeling a little bit sheepish about what I'd done with my life and how I hadn't necessarily followed in his footsteps. And he was very intentional and deliberate about saying, no, what you do is extremely important because you're helping to nourish and inspire the spirits of people that are asking and starving for it. And that is just such a powerful thing, and a thing that not many people do or get to do. And I thought about that, and that was when, yeah, I'm doing this for sure. I'm gonna make it happen. And that'll always stick with me and is sort of one of my touchstones. Is if I ever have any doubts, that's what I reach to.
Yeah, I think Calgary has been great for trying to get more things included in any time you get a chance for free activities or a chance to get out with different friends and just not have to really plan or buy tickets. It's just so nice to just have the flexibility of doing that. The lights and some of the scenes in there, we were just talking about how great it would be to be partying or doing something with some of those illusions and some of the things going from there. And it's been a great, really kind of Thursday night just to add fun to the typical work week.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting that just different wavelengths of photons can, in just different patterns, can be so beautiful to us, right? And the way that the city is actually doing it makes it more interesting and actually can expose people to how cool it can really be.
Yeah, honestly, I was just walking to my buddy's place and just seeing the fire. You know, I'm a man of fire. I like anything that's hot. Looks really cool, you know, so just decided to come and check it out. And honestly, like, it is really cool. I like the architecture and how it's placed. And it's very unique. Like, I come from Toronto, and like, just seeing this, like things like this aren't in Toronto. So Calgary's a place to be honest. Like,
well, so far for the nightlife, I mean, I only just got here, but so far it's been some pretty solid first impressions. I mean, we just walked past the door, and right now we're on our way to the library right now. I hear like that's kind of where it really heats up. But I'd say I just think it really lights up the city, you know, like it kind of makes Calgary stand out, if that makes sense, like from other like metropolitan cities and stuff like that. This adds some character, personality to it, you know?
I'm a metal fabricator, long time for pipe fitter for the oil and gas and everything like that. And now I'm a metal roofer, and I slipped into lots of artsy stuff. And this kind of stuff is something I'm interested in doing, and it's very inspiring because I built many things for my mother, like even propane gas and like chop them in half and pot planters and stuff like that. You know, people don't think really how these things could be repurposed. And some of this stuff is probably scrap metal, and I believe that it can be done in a very artful way.